Welcome on in, this is Spruce and Studs, and we have yet another JoyToy Primaris Space Marine to review. Specifically, we are going to be reviewing the Ultramarines Intercessor 2.0, as you can see over here, and we shall see if JoyToy improved on their 1.0 design. That Intercessor over there, along with one of his other buddies, will be manning the Invader ATV, which should be coming out sometime in November, so look for that review in the near future. But anyways, focusing on the task at hand, let's jump into this review. All right, we will follow the same normal procedure as we normally do, which is to bust open the box before your very eyes. Unwrap this bad boy. Ta-da! And we have the Marine. That's strange. Looks like it came loose here. All right, folks, you already know what's going to happen. I'm going to nitpick the painting to death on this action figure, so be prepared. Looking at the chainsword, it is very nice that JoyToy put a lot of differentiation between the colors here. So this is obviously a black, whereas the old chainsword, this area would also be black. So it's nice that this is a silver look. So moving on, let's look at the paint quality over here. And it appears that the paint quality is quite a bit lacking. So you've got some very undersprayed silver over here, and then it's still pretty undersprayed until you get over here in this area. So that's one issue that I find lacking in this particular chainsword. And then flipping this over, it seems to be a little bit better on this side. Looking at the silver portions over here, it looks like this is shaded fairly nicely. And then when you're looking at the skull area on the end, looks like you have some bronze bleed onto the black, and then areas in which the bronze should have covered up, like this area. And then you've got a pretty distinct mold line going on over here as well. So what are we looking at? We're looking at something that's pretty much par for JoyToy. All right, let's put this down and let's look at this heavy bolt pistol. Another thing that I'm going to be pointing out is that assault intercessors typically do not have heavy bolt pistols. Usually major characters do, so this is a bit odd that they included this. This should just be a regular bolt pistol. That being said, looking at the painting quality of this, it looks fairly okay. You have that nice weathered silver look that's going on all around this heavy bolt pistol. In this area, the silver didn't quite cover up the black areas. Then same thing with this too. Unlike other offerings with JoyToy, these gun panels over here are typically highlighted with a light gray or white type of paint, but there is no highlights whatsoever on this, and it would be nice if they actually added this. Looking at the backpack, it is of your standard backpack. Again, you have this silver weathering that is around these prominent areas, which is nice to give a little bit more character and depth to the backpack. Looks like the shading is well within the norms of JoyToy, which means that the shading is actually where the shading is supposed to be, and then within the grooves as well over here. And then it looks like there's some extra shade that went on over here, which isn't too big of a deal because, again, this backpack is in the back of the Space Marine. It's not in a prominent position. And also with the silver area and also this silver area, it doesn't quite cover the blue areas that it should. All right, let's move on to the empty holster over here. And the empty holster is sporting highlights, as you can see. However, the highlights are a bit rough, and the roughness is actually the case as you go down all around this whole entire holster. It's fairly messy, as you can see over here. And then there are no highlights whatsoever on the back of this holster whatsoever. So it would be nice if it's a bit uniform. And you can also see there is a manufacturing defect where there's extra plastic where it shouldn't be right here. Taking a look at the extra hands, so you have this extra hand that allows you to grip the chainsword, and then you have, again, the fist of power over here, the open hand of domination, and this is the point and go destroy. All right, let's take a look at the Space Marine itself, and always we are going to be going from top down. Looking at the painting on the helmet, it looks pretty clean up here. No really big issues at all. The silver is a fairly nice color. Same thing over here. There is a slight silver bleed onto the blue. but it's okay. And then as you are looking at the lenses, it appears that the lenses have no issue whatsoever either. The red is staying within the red area and the blue is staying within the blue areas. The shading is pretty good with the vents on here as well. It is very, very clean. So this is a really nice helmet. Taking a look at the pauldrons, you have very good screening here. It is crisp, clean, and exact. Looking at the copper or bronze area of the pauldron, you have this area where the bronze is not completely covered over here. And that's generally the problem with all JoyToy action figures. Same thing with this. It's a little bit more prominent too. And then the Ultramarines Omega is also very clean. It's very nice. You get some bleed for the bronze onto the blue, unfortunately. All right, taking a look at the chest piece area, you do have some nice shading that's going on here. I believe that there might be some extra plastic over here that JoyToy did not get rid of when they affixed this thing on. There's shade going on here, a little bit too much shade here. A tad too much shade in the eye socket area. It kind of bled out. However, there's no shading within the nostril area or the teeth area. All right, let's take a look at the arm. There don't seem to be any issues over here. Don't seem to be very many major issues over here as well. Moving on to the belt area. No major issues here with regards to the paint, and looking at the other armaments here, it doesn't look that good. So you have this holstered bolt pistol, and the silver did not quite cover up the brown area like it should. The highlights are generally pretty messy all around here. These pouches, the highlights are very thick and very rough around these edges. And then taking a look at the legs, there might be some shading issues where you got shades where it's not supposed to be, like here, 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 and over here. And then extra shade going on over here as well. This leg does not look that bad. You got probably some little extra shading going on over here as well. Let's talk about articulation. The articulation in the 2.0 in some areas are better. So the helmet area spins around 360 up here, and you actually do have some lateral movements that you can have back and forth as well. Around this shoulder joint, 360 degrees rotation, and it has a clicking mechanism that allows the action figure to hold the pose. Around the forearm, it is 360 as well. Then finally, the elbow joint is double hinged, so it's double hinged here, and then hinged again over here. So you get a very, very good range of motion because of this double hinge. And then finally, with the wrist, it is 360 degree rotation, as you see. There's a little bit of a gap here with the wrist. However, this allows for greater mobility as well around the wrist. And then with the torso, you are able to pivot this 360 degrees up here. And then up here is also another ball joint where it allows you to give an extra range of motion. And the legs, you're able to kick this out from this position, 90 degrees here, and then a little less than 90 degrees, then 90 degrees back here. The knees are also double hinged, so you have one hinge that allows you to do this, and an extra hinge that also further allows you to pull the whole entire leg back, which is really good for mobility. Ankles wise, you're able to wobble this thing around, which also is very good for mobility, and you're also able to do this for added stability. All right, so let's kit out the Space Marine here. Let's attach the backpack on, so it attaches through these pegs here. Very easy to do that. And then you are able to swap out this holster through this barbell mechanism like this. There you go. And then next, just with the wrists, I will show you, it's very, very easy to detach. So I'm going to detach this part of the wrist and then push this in. So this hand can now wield the chainsword, and now give him the heavy bolt pistol. All right, let's put the chainsword in. And the Space Marine grips the chainsword fairly snugly. All right, folks, that's the review. Let me give you my final thoughts on this action figure. All right, folks, what do I think of this Primaris Ultramarine 2.0 figure? Well, painting-wise, again, this is exactly what you would expect from a JoyToy action figure. There are numerous painting issues and defects, which I think for this price point is a little bit easier for me to swallow at $32. As usual, you have some issues with the dry brushing around the pouch areas and the numerous other defects that are on the armor itself. In terms of articulation, I really like the articulation on the 2.0 better than the 1.0. The 2.0 Space Marines seem to be more fluid and have a better range of motion and also added extra stability, especially with the legs. It doesn't actually take that long for me to pose this action figure, and you can pose it into various different forms without actually having it fall over, unlike the 1.0 Space Marines that really frustrated me. Do I recommend buying the Space Marine? Yeah, actually I do. The price point is a little bit more expensive than a McFarlane Space Marine by about like $12. It is a very good army filler, and as I said, I'm going to be putting this guy along with one of his brethren onto the Invader ATV when it comes out. So let me know what you think about this action figure. Is this something that you're going to be getting sometime soon? Is it going to be an army filler, or is it something you're going to pass on? I'm curious to know what you think of it. So this is Poos and Studs. Thank you for watching as usual, and I appreciate all your support. And I will see you all in the next one.